And I'm Lenny Kluge.
We're two immigrants living in Chile, bringing you information on news, cultural topics, travel, business, and more.
The Chile Today podcast is the first ever bi-weekly English news podcast.
For more information about the news topics you will hear today, check out our news affiliate, chiletoday.cl.
If you have any questions, stories to share, or just want to say hi, message us on Instagram at Chile Today Podcast or email us at chiletodaypodcast@gmail.com.
If you're feeling generous, rate and review us so that more people can find our podcast. Hey, Lenny, what's going on?
Hey, Bethany, it's fucking 22:10 p.m. and I'm tired as fuck. That's what's
You
going
are
on.
such an old man.
I know.
I'm telling you.
Hey, I slept like shit last night. Leave me alone.
Was there a particular reason that you slept like shit?
I think I just ate something that I shouldn't have eaten, and you really don't want to get into
God,
the
you're
topic of my
old.
bowels.
No. God, you're old. Come
You
on.
whippersnapper should be showing more respect here. You're gonna
Well,
get
if we, yeah, I know. I turned 31 on Friday,
Mhm.
so
Oh,
I'm
hold
on
on.
my way.
Hold on, what Friday? Like just last Friday?
I mean Saturday. I turned 31 on Saturday, on the 19th.
Okay, I just understood you turned, and I was like, hold on, how did I not know
No.
about this? How did I not say happy birthday? What is going on?
No. The one of the events we have to talk about, great segue right there, is actually on my birthday. So why don't you update us about that event and the other ones we have coming up?
Actually, right now I'm so sad that this is a podcast, not a video cast, because nobody can see the finger guns that I just made.
You made amazing finger guns.
I
They might have
know.
been the best finger guns I have ever seen.
They're the best finger guns ever.
You have the best
So-
fingers.
I get the best. Okay, I don't even know where you're going.
Okay,
with that,
we're
but
going
okay,
left
fine.
turn. Left turn.
Left turn, absolutely left turn. So yeah, we absolutely have events coming up. So what did we say? This whole thing is going to be released on Wednesday.
It's to be released Wednesday, so the first event should be tomorrow, which
Exactly.
is St.
Just-
Patrick's Day.
Makes it even better. And we're gonna watch a horrible movie on St. Patrick's Day, because that day is also gonna be our horrible movie night. And since it's gonna be St.
Mhm.
Patrick's Day, it's gonna be a theme. So what movie are we going to watch, Bethany?
I'm gonna watch the original Leprechaun, which is a horror movie, if I understand correctly. I've never seen it. It's a horror movie about a leprechaun that kills people because somebody stole his pot of gold.
Oh my
In
God,
a literal
Bethany,
sense,
this
not a
sounds-
metaphorical sense.
This sounds so exciting, and I'm really looking forward. Where could I possibly watch this movie?
You can watch this movie at the Black Rock Pub in Providencia near Metro Tobalaba at 8 p.m. and it's a free event. However, if you are a patron on our Patreon at the $5 level, you will get a free beer.
This is
when you go.
fantastic, Bethany. How could
It's
I
absolutely
become
fantastic.
a Patreon member?
Okay, so you can find the links on our Instagram at Chile Today Podcast, or you can go to patreon.com/the Chile Today Podcast. Or if you're just confused, you can message us on Instagram or send us an email, chiletodaypodcast@gmail.com, and we'll be glad to direct you in the correct direction.
Wow.
All of our patrons at the $5 and $10 level will get discounts, freebies, or whatever at all of the events that we talk about. So yeah.
Wow, Bethany, this is absolutely mind-blowing. I'm looking forward to becoming a Patreon member and a sponsor of us. I'm gonna do this right away. Tappity tappity
feel like
tap
we're
away on my
already-
keyboard.
I feel like we're already our own patrons because we just we just bought new mics and everything, just investing our own money.
I'm just like, I'm really counting on this money to come in, man. Like somebody's gonna pay for this new mic. By the way,
Hey, I mean,
yeah,
I'm excited.
you're hearing the difference, right? I'm having this new snazzy mic. Can you hear my sonorous
Right.
baritone voice? Mhm.
Your voice sounds great. Also, we are virtual
brushed it.
today, so
You just brushed by that. It's like, your voice sounds great.
yeah, you're fine. You're fine. You're
Yeah.
good. You're not bad. We are virtual today because I am quarantining before I travel to the US next week. So that's why we're virtual today.
Yeah.
So let us know how you like it. So keep going with the events.
Yes, so 2 days after the fantastic, horrible movie night, we will have another stand-up comedy show. And bilingual stand-up comedy show. We as in the Chistolas, but I guess regular listeners should know this by now. We're kind of like conflating these two things. It's kind of like the same at this point. So
yeah, we merged, like the Chistolas is an event coordinating group that Lenny and I are also a part of, which is not technically affiliated with the podcast, But since Lenny and I both work in the other organization, they overlap. But
yeah, we're
so
just, I think we're already
be bopping around.
we're kind of like planning a hostile takeover of the podcast already. I'm gonna rename it.
Sure,
The
there you
Cheese
go.
Dollars today. Okay, there we go. Boom, done. So
we have a German and a gringo here on this podcast. So of course there's gonna be some sort of war
we know
going
our
on.
shit. We know how to do cruise. So it's 8:00 on Friday at the Fiddler's Irish Pub at Metro
That's
Manuel
April
Mont.
19th.
Correcto mundo. So you
Did
should
you say
go
Friday?
there.
That's a Saturday.
That's a Saturday, and that's exactly what I
See,
meant.
that's exactly what I did because I was like, not Friday.
I just wanted to see if you're paying attention, and
I was paying attention.
Awesome.
And if you're a patron at the $5 level, you get in for free.
Wow.
But if you're not a patron at the $5 level, you gotta pay. You gotta pay monies.
You know, the real reason you should come is you want to see Le Moi performing.
You're gonna perform?
Yeah, I'm gonna perform. It's gonna be my first time in freaking 2.5 years.
Yeah, probably. Well, I'm sad because I can't go. I'm gonna be in quarantine.
Yeah, but maybe we can, get somebody streaming the event. Who knows?
Yeah, I'm gonna make Pinguina do it. Pinguino, stream the event just for me. It's my birthday, so you have to do it.
He better. Mm-hmm, so, and then let's take a leap into the future because we already have another comedy show confirmed, but on April 30th, which is more than a month from now, at the same place. That's also Saturday, and it's also going to be, it's probably going to be bilingual stand-up comedy show. I say probably because we haven't really defined who's going to perform yet.
Sometimes we have all English shows, so we try to specify.
Yes, so we don't know that, but absolutely jot this down on your calendar because you don't want to miss that either. Yeah,
that is April 30th, 8 p.m. at Fiddler's. That's near Metro Manuel Mont. Also, if you are a patron at the 10, the 5 or above level, again, you get in for free. There will be more events between those two events we just announced, but dates are pending on confirmation. And so we will let you know. We have maybe a potential new type of event. For people who are very nerdy and love books.
The suspense. Oh yeah, you're giving a lot away.
Oh crap. I didn't know it's not a secret, but I feel like we don't have enough things in there for people who love to. Anyway, so too much. Okay. So those are our events. Speaking again about the Patreon, we only had the $5 level on our last podcast. We now have a $10 level. Okay, so if you join our Patreon, we have 2 tiers. Last month we only had one tier, the $5 tier, but we have a $5 tier and a $10 tier now. At the $5 tier, you'll get early access to select episodes that will air for you before they air for other people for those select episodes. You will get monthly travel tips, and what that means is these are not just like a post that's like, hey, travel safely. This is like a full-blown document that gives tips about things people always asking us about. And every month we'll post those. You'll have access to all of those once you join all the ones that have been posted. And then you will get, as we've been talking about, discounts and free event tickets. So discounts might be like 50% off or completely free, as all of our events so far are, or like a free beer or something like that. At the $10 level, you get all of that stuff. Plus, you're going to get a little bit of merch, some surprise merch coming to you from us. And it has international shipping. So you don't have to worry if you're living in Timbuktu. It might take a while to get to you, but there is international shipping for all of that.
Carefully there.
Yeah, we're going to give you a personalized
We're going to get so much hate mail from our listeners in Timbuktu. It was like, why is this thing not still
how dare
here?
You mentioned us specifically.
See you in court.
But in all of the other stuff, there's a lot of other things included. But the thing we're most excited about is the $10 level has access to a special Chile Today podcast Discord, where we hope everybody that listens to the podcast can get together, whether you're living in Chile, in different parts of Chile, living in the US, try to connect with other people to have a really good community of people who want to do things. Are you thinking about traveling? Maybe you can connect with other people who are thinking about traveling to Chile or who have or who studied. Maybe you can go ahead and meet people who are doing an exchange at the same university you're doing an exchange at. Maybe you live in Arica and want to meet other people, whatever. So that's accessed at the $10 level. We're really excited about that. So anyway, to get on that, that's www.patreon.com/the Chile Today podcast. So yeah, that's pretty much what we got on announcements. What are you doing over there, Lenny?
I'm pouring myself one of my fantastic Proviant drinks because I just realized I didn't have anything to drink here, but I always, for some reason, have a case of Proviant in my room. It's so cliche, but I do.
Yeah.
So,
and I mean, this was not planned at all. It really was not planned at all. But go ahead and tell the listeners what Proviant is. He's drinking.
That's all you need to know. It's refreshing. It's an organic sparkling drink that I import from Germany. If you're interested, you can find us on Instagram at limoland_CL. That's all I'm going to say about that because there's been so much shameless self-promotion already. And we should be getting into the news. What do you say? Yeah, as usual, the most fun part comes first. So, COVID update. Now, actually, some good news for a change. As of Monday, March 14th, which is the day that we're recording this, there have been, quote unquote, only 10,650 new cases.
Sorry, I hit the mic because I was so excited. Yay is what I meant to say, but I just smacked the mic. Yeah, yay.
Smack the mic in excitement. So that means that it's a total drop of new infections by 37% in the last 2 weeks, which is significant. But I think even more than the overall number of new cases, what's even more, let's say, more important is that the positivity dropped to 14.88%. Now, I compared my notes from the last time we got together to record, like 2 weeks ago. It was still at 25.62%. So that's a drop of more than 10% points in positivity, which is the real number you should be watching out for. So that's good. Thumbs up. However, if you allow me to quote Game of Thrones these days, winter is coming, and there would likely be new mutations. I mean,
new mutations.
New mutations.
Oh, that's dark.
Yeah, that's actually.
I guess it would be a good career to get into.
Yeah,
they're
not gonna get out of business anytime soon. But yeah, there will be new mutations at some point.
There is a new mutation I just read about.
You're not talking about
called Deltacron. No, it's called Deltacron. It's new.
Sounds evil.
It is. They don't know a lot about it yet, but it's been found in the US and in Europe, which mostly France is what I heard. And I read about this yesterday, and they don't know a lot about it yet, but what they said was it has the backbone of Delta, but the like contagions of Omicron, which makes me think that it's as like serious as Delta, as contagious as Omicron. So that's gonna be fun.
I'd be if we hadn't been, dose, guys. If we hadn't been into this whole ordeal for 2 years already, I'd be a lot more shocked than I am right now.
I mean, we talked about it before on the podcast. Like, it probably only a matter of time before this is not over.
Die. I mean,
we're all gonna die eventually.
Yeah, eventually we are. Yeah. So
get your fourth dose.
Get your fourth dose as soon as it's your turn, because winter is coming. And actually, I just read, like, in Germany, in my good old home country of Germany, they just relaxed a couple of measures, and voila, numbers are rising again. So see how easy that goes.
I mean, yeah, it's just gonna keep going up and down. Like, the US is also like cutting back measures. And speaking of cutting back measures, I have news about that. So the Chilean health ministry, so this was the health ministry of Piñera, okay, because we have a new president.
In case you haven't noticed.
Just a couple days ago. Okay, as I was saying, Chilean health minister, previous-ish health minister. Yeah, previous health minister, right? Ex-health minister, as of like 2 days ago. He is easing the mandatory PCR tests for tourists coming into Chile. If you didn't know, it is required that you take a PCR at the airport before you come into Chile, or it was every single person. Now it's only going to be half of the people that come through, and the people are going to be chosen at random. So what Paris was saying was, he was saying that what they were doing was collapsing the airport, and it was really time consuming. And there have been a lot of organizations, such as the tourism organizations, Federation of Tourism Companies of Chile is called Vetetur or something like that. said that it's been discouraging people from coming into Chile for tourism, which I don't know if that's true. I don't know if anybody's like, oh, I have to take a PCR at the airport.
Yeah, because I don't have to
not
take it
coming.
anywhere else in my life.
Right. Like, I'm definitely not going to, I don't know. It's weird.
Yeah.
I mean, so they would not like that. What?
I mean, it makes, I mean, first of all, I mean, the couple of times that I just came back from wherever to Chile, the process has gotten really streamlined. So they've gotten really efficient at that. So
it's super fast. I don't know. People are complaining about it's like literally like boom, boom. Like, you do have to wait in a little bit of a line, but honestly, it's pretty, like,
I mean, I've heard horror stories of people like waiting like around 8 hours just to get out of the airport, but that was in the very beginning of this whole thing. And you know, after a while, they just streamlined this whole thing. Now, that being said, I think in a way it does make sense that they cut down on this, because you're supposed to take a PCR test or present a negative PCR test result before you board the flight to Chile anyway. So
yeah, but here's the thing. My mother-in-law took one before she came to Chile, and then took one in Chile, and she got a positive one. So, like, from my own anecdotal experience, it is possible to test negative and then test positive, because you contracted it at the very end of your trip or in the airport or whatever.
No, I mean, you cannot contract. I mean, the thing is, like, I guess the idea behind this whole thing was like, okay, let's get you tested at the airport upon arrival, because you might have gotten the flu. Now, you might have gotten the virus on the plane, but that wouldn't show on the PCR. So basically, you're talking about a window here, which is right prior to like departure. I mean, yes, there's a possibility, but it's.
I mean, I understand that probably my mother-in-law's experience,
and you can get false negatives too. I mean, I get that.
Oh, 100%. Well, not really, but the PCR.
Not 100%, man.
I mean, nothing's 100%, but the PCR is pretty.
It's pretty solid, but you know, there's still the chance. It's pretty solid,
right? Well, we're not talking about the antigen test, but yeah. I mean, there've been a lot of people complaining about the PCR. What I would rather have happen, to be honest, is I would rather not have to get a PCR coming in before I come to Chile, and then get the PCR when I land. Because those PCRs are fucking expensive in other countries, and they're free when you land in Chile. So what I would rather do is be like, not have to take a PCR and then just take it when you arrive in Chile. That's what I would like.
Yeah. You'd rather be like, hey, PC out. Oh, okay.
No,
that was bad. That was really bad.
I just mean, like, you know, imagine, like, I was visiting Mexico a few months ago, and then it was like, where am I getting my PCR? And a lot of countries, it's getting better, but a lot of people still don't understand the distinction between the antigen versus the PCR versus, you know. And so it was a little bit of people kept trying to like gaslight me into like, no, you don't need a PCR when I was in Mexico. And I was like, I'm telling you, it has to be a PCR. Anyway, so if you're coming to Chile, or for example, I'm leaving and I'm going to come back, you might or might not have to take a PCR. Or all this could totally change completely, since we now have a new president, which is my next thing that we're getting into. So, you have something else to say?
Yeah, in a way, you know, with the COVID update, there's still a couple of things, if you don't mind.
I do, but that's fine. You're going to say it anyway, right?
Exactly.
I thought I had a really good segue there, Lenny.
I'm so sorry.
No, you're fine.
What I wanted to say, like, you know, the COVID right now is not the only virus that's kind of circling these days. The flu has made an unexpected comeback, actually, with 486 cases in the last month, which is double the cases from last year. Well, I know actually for a fact that your good friend Mary, hi Mary, did also have the flu, so not that surprised there. So this year, like the flu season started a little bit earlier than expected, apparently because of increased international mobility, they say. So the vaccination campaign was already kicked off last week. So however, it's like one can get a COVID shot in one arm and the flu shot in the other one. So if you can do it,
give me all of the shots at this point.
Give all them shots. Stay as healthy as you can.
And the fourth dose is turning the corner soon.
It is. I mean, it's not my turn yet, but I think.
No, it's around the corner is what I meant. Like the fourth dose, probably in May, we'll get it.
I mean, they're already starting with the fourth dose.
I know. I just meant probably in May. You and I will get it.
Yeah, hopefully.
No, they're already starting with the fourth dose for like people who are like 55 and older. I think we'll probably get ours around May.
Right. All right.
Yeah.
In other COVID-related news, in their last week, the government did away with the maximum capacity restrictions for districts that are in phase 4. Now, that doesn't mean that you can cram into a little dive bar with like 200 people in a closed space. What this means is while there's still a relative limit of 2 people per square meter, there's no longer an absolute limit, which used to be 1,000 people enclosed and 5,000 in open spaces. I mean, just in case you've heard that before, that doesn't mean like, you cannot pack your favorite bar again. This benefits like events and open air events. Another thing that I found interesting is that a US study has shown that keeping the mask mandate in closed public spaces until at least 70% of the target population are vaccinated does not only save lives, but it also saves dollar bills, y'all.
Nice.
Yes. So they recreated the spread of the virus in a model of the US in a computer simulation to obtain results. And in a scenario in which 90% of the population is vaccinated by May 1, which is absolutely not the case in the US.
Nope.
Keeping the indoor mask mandate saved $13.3 billion in social costs, $2.4 million in medical bills, direct medical costs, and as well as preventing 6.29 million COVID-19 cases, 136,000 hospitalization, and 16,000 deaths. So with an 80% coverage, 80% vaccination rate, the numbers went even up further, like 16.7 billion social costs.
Are you listening, capitalists?
Yes.
Are you listening? Invest in shots is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
Get your shots, save your money.
Right.
Buy from small businesses. There you go.
Okay, and last COVID-related news. So during the 2 last weeks of February, 77% of all COVID-related deaths were people over 70 and 55% over 80 even. It's kind of sad, but one of the likely culprits is that they weren't up to date with the checkups, thanks to the sanitary emergency, or even had to post medical procedures, which makes them more susceptible to the virus. So basically the moral of the story here, people don't skip your checkups. Like I'm 40. I've been doing yearly checkups since I was 30.
500.
What?
What? I said nothing.
500 what? Never mind.
I said you're 500.
Oh, fine. Yeah, I wish. So don't skip your checkups, man. I mean, go there, just wear a mask, wash your hands, whatever. Don't be scared. I mean, I get it that people don't really want to go into hospitals or medical centers, but just don't skip out on your necessary medical procedures because, you might as well just end up because you might have cancer. I don't know, like you want to.
We are taking a real Oh, apparently we turned into the medical podcast. I thought we were just doing Chile and COVID updates, but Lenny is on his soapbox. Okay, so now may I talk about the new very sexy president?
Oh yeah, boy, he's on his
here's
soapbox.
The thing, he has had a huge glow up in like the past week. I'm like looking at all his stuff that he's posting, and I'm like, damn boy, what you doing? Hey, I just looked at a picture. Look at this man right here. Look at that man.
Ooh,
look at that. He's about to go on an interview.
Now, who's this dapper gentleman?
This is the president of Chile. He's about to go on an interview, and he's like, I don't have a jacket on. I just got a button-up white shirt with no tie and my tats. And I'm like,
can I just say that I've had some internal discussions about this.
Inside yourself or
no,
with other people?
Circle, family, friends. And this whole thing about him not wearing a tie, it's such a controversial thing.
So stupid.
I mean, personally,
ties are just to cover buttons. People thought buttons are offensive, and so they're like, cover them up with a thing.
Or maybe
that's all it is.
Maybe this is what everybody's getting upset about. They don't like buttons,
Buttons but I've had offensive.
Buttons are the worst.
Buttons are the symbolism of communism.
There's buttons,
of communism,
and then there's Hitler and communism.
Oh, you know how many buttons they had
Hitler,
on their little outfits, they had a lot of buttons on those fascist outfits.
See?
I didn't realize the buttons were symbolism.
So now people,
extreme.
Buttons are
now
fascist,
I'm mad at
communist.
Boric. How dare you? I didn't realize.
Exactly.
Boric, have some respect.
But I love this. I love the fact that he didn't wear a tie in a way. A lot of people were like, well, there's not enough decorum here, and he doesn't take this whole thing seriously.
Who gives a shit?
No, I think it's the other way around. I think it's really symbolizes a change in attitude towards this whole thing. I think he's also sending a strong message, saying it's like, look, it's like, I can have my tats, I don't need a tie. Like, I'm here to do a job. I'm not here to look nice. Like, get over
I'm not
people.
here to
like, also
again,
ties are so yesterday, man. I mean,
again, covering the buttons. Okay. Anyway, so let's reappropriate the buttons for ourselves in Chile. Okay, let's redo it and give women pockets. Okay.
Take them away from Hitler.
I fixed the world problems. Okay. So no, but because that's the thing is everybody's always like, oh, politicians, they all lie. They're all the same. They just like look pretty and then they say things. And I think it's really interesting that, I mean, that Boric is really trying to be like, I'm different. And, you know, time will tell if he is, but it's like, why are we bitching about that? Hasn't everybody been screaming like, we need something new. We need the politicians that aren't corrupt, no matter what side you're on. Well, now we have something new. So let's see what happens. Stop complaining about a piece of cloth that he doesn't want to wear because he's 36 years old. And he's like, he's never worn a tie ever in his whole political career, which he has had a very long one for his age.
He might not even
it's like, why would he start now? And the thing is what I talked with my mother-in-law the other day, I was like, he's going to be criticized whether he wears a tie or he doesn't, because if he started wearing a tie, people would be like, that's not him. He's never worn a tie. He's just trying to pretend to be a politician. So it doesn't matter what he does. He's damned if he does. He's damned if he doesn't. So
true that.
I just think I like seeing my president with a tattoo. Like, I love tattoos. You know me. So
he should tattoo a tie on his sternum. Like, that would be a great middle ground there. I think like everybody would be happy with that.
And just not wear a shirt. Like, not wear a shirt and any
exactly
I have a tie, bitches. Like,
you want a tie? Here it is.
There's a tie on his dad bod.
It got to be a piano tie though, the tat of a piano tie, like a keyboard.
Yes, and then it also says 9 Inch Nails on it because he apparently loves 9 Inch Nails.
And Tool.
Oh, which was cute because so there's a lot of really cute videos from his inauguration when he got sworn in. And there's one where he's like walking behind Piñera and he like does this turn. It's adorable. But I don't know if you know this, but Boric actually has pretty bad OCD.
Okay.
And he has tics that he does with his OCD. And he's pretty public about it. But like one of the things is sometimes like he just has like jerks that he does. And he even said this on an interview. Like the interview came out today when somebody was like, it's just like he has an aversion to certain things. I don't know. I don't know, but he like went on an interview today and they were like, why were you like dancing behind Piñera? What was that about? And he was like, no. It was totally like, it was my OCD. I like did something and my body was just like, it reacted. And it looks like he's like doing this little ballet turn. It was adorable, but
actually I couldn't.
That's the most important thing that happened.
I forwarded this video to I mean, you know that like I practice like the martial art of Aikido, and this but the thing that he did that looked very much like an evasive maneuver that you do there. So I just sent it forward to my group. It's like that. It was a quality iriminaga that he just pulled off there.
I mean, it was right behind the former president. Like, whoo, ha. Like, it looked like he was like, don't touch me.
It looked smooth.
There's so many like videos now of him. Also, did you see the one video where like after he did his speech, which is like a 30-minute speech to the public, which was like, thank you, Chile, I'm now president, blah, 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 New Hope, blah, all the things presidents say. And they had him a camera behind him when he turned around to see his face. And when he turned around, he was like, oh, could you do my day? Like, no, he really just like, he really went just like, he blew out air. He was like, and like had like big eyes, like, and it was like relatable. Relatable.
Just about to say, if that ain't relatable, what is, you know, like.
It was like, he just spoke to hundreds of thousands of people and then just the whole country probably on well, not probably, legitimately on TV, and just like it was a long day for him. Like he got blessed by the Catholic Church, by the Mapuche, by the Aymara, like all of the people.
Right, and he's just like, well, you know, you're president now, Biggie, huh? I mean, yeah, Biggie.
Yeah, he's like, holy shit, what have I gotten myself into?
Yeah, you gotta digest that first.
He's exactly. So anyway, that
other thing where when Piñera was kissing the piocha, that little
and he like made a face. He was like, holy shit.
What are you?
I
Why?
love it because he's so millennial. He's not gonna like keep anything off his face. It's
No
all
poker
there.
face. This is why millennials
No,
don't play poker.
like like so Benita kissed that little thing to give to him, and his face was like, the fuck you just did? It was so great. There's guys, you need to look these up. They're so good. We'll start posting them on our Instagram just so you can enjoy what we're enjoying. So I mean, but in all seriousness, Chile has a new president who has already
a very memeable president.
A very memeable, very, very sexy president. If you don't know a lot about Piñera, he was very active in the 2019 protests where the estallido. Oh, what did I say?
Piñera.
Oh, fuck.
That's a Freudian slip up if I've ever heard one. Slip.
I mean, Piñera was involved, but not involved in the supporting way. Boric was very involved in the protests, supporting them and supporting the new writing of the Constitution, the Apruebo, which ended up starting the process of the rewriting of the Magna Carta. And a lot of people are commenting. Al Jazeera said we're seeing a historical shift, a real sign of change in Latin America. And Boric is heading a feminist environmental government that is going to bring about historical social change, led by a cabinet that is mostly full of young people who don't have much experience in government, but that certainly have big plans. So there have also been people who have compared him to Allende, and one writer said that he reminds me of Allende, but I hope he has a happier ending, which is like, oh. Ouch. Okay, yeah. I would not compare him to Allende. I don't think he's that left, but you know, we've talked about that a lot in past.
It's like a different generation. I mean,
yeah.
It's, I don't know, man. Like you wouldn't compare God knows what, like Obama to Abraham Lincoln. It's just like there's not even common ground there, you know.
Boric is very much supported by the environmentalists and indigenous communities, and he has been giving signals of more protections for both the environment and for the indigenous communities. He has already overturned, I don't know if you saw this, but like the first thing that happened when he got inaugurated was he overturned like over 130 charges against people who were pending criminal charges for actions during the estallido. Mm-hmm. So like that was like people who were protesting or doing things that got arrested during the 2019 estallido. He went ahead and dropped a lot of charges against those people. And so, I mean, already hitting the ground running. I feel like there were more than 20 international guests that were confirmed to have attended the inauguration, including Alberto Fernandez and Pedro Castillo, the presidents of Argentina and Peru, the King of Spain, and Isabel Allende, which is a famous Chilean author, which I guess is important. Representatives from both the US and Brazil, lots of really cool stuff. There's also let's see. There's a the cabinet of Boric is a female majority cabinet, so they were also sworn in, which is pretty cool, on Friday as well. So that's what is happening with Boric's thing. We'll keep you updated on the memes and the gifts, and then what happens as far as what Boric is doing. So we'll keep you all updated here on that.
It's a pretty sad fact of my life that most of my political education these days is through Facebook and memes and GIFs. It's like I scroll down Facebook, it was like, I don't understand this meme. Hold on, there's got to be something more to it. And I was like, okay, what just happened there with this person? It was like, oh, there was this scandal and that scandal, and like weird.
Yep. And you know what? I will say one thing about Chile, because Chile doesn't get the best in the world at a lot of things. I swear Chile is the best in the world at memes. They are so good, so fast.
If they could make money off memes, man, if they could export memes.
This country would be the richest country. It'd be lithium, copper, and memes. Like, they're so good. Like if you know, man, so good. They gotta start charging people for memes. I don't know, but
totally.
They're so good. Any other comments you have about Boric and his being sworn in?
Nope, not from me.
Okay, so next piece of news. So the line 7, the newest line on the metro, construction has started on that. A $2.5 billion metro line 7 is starting. So this was another line that was launched by former President Piñera. And it will run between the suburbs of Renca on the northwestern outskirts of the capital and Vitacura on the northeast. It'll be 26 kilometers long and with 19 stations. It should be completed by 2027, which seems like super fast.
Yeah. So in 5 years, there's a lot of tunnel digging going on. So it's going to be rimming the northern edge of the city then. So
you said rimming.
I know what I said, and I'm going to stand by it.
So it's expected to like cut travel time from those areas in half.
Yeah, they kind of like said. They got the short end of the stick up there. It's just like if you want to go from I don't know, Quilicura to Vitacura, it's just like you got to go all the way down into the city, probably swap lines like 5 times, and then like horrible.
Yeah. I think it's supposed to connect through Estación Latinoamericana to switch to the red line, I think, but I'm not quite sure. I looked at a map earlier today, but I mean, we'll figure it out by 2027.
Yeah, there are probably going to be more than one connection point.
Sure, I'm sure. But it looked like when I looked at the map today, it was very much like all alone there going out where it was because they need that line down where they are. So Piñera said line 7 is not only going to change the lives of those who directly benefit the inhabitants of the comunas that passes through 1.3 million Chilean men and women, but it's also going to improve the quality of life of all the inhabitants of the city of Santiago. He said it is a gigantic effort and would generate 22,000 jobs. And there would be, it would also cut carbon in terms of that it would be the equivalent of planting 55,000 trees, which I don't know where those numbers come from. Okay. I mean, yeah, less cars is always a good thing, but okay. Less buses, that's a thing. So the line will be entirely automatic. So I guess there's going to be no driver in those lines as there are in a lot of the lines we have right now.
Yeah, the line 3, line 6, I think. Have
the newest lines are automatic. Yeah, but the like
they got
the line
suicide
1.
gates.
Oh my God. Yeah.
I think that's
what
they call it.
Is that what they're for?
Oh yeah.
Oh my God. I never thought of that.
Yeah, so the people don't like throw themselves onto the tracks.
Okay, so if you've never seen the new lines, like so the main lines, like the red line, which is the main line you're going that most people use because it connects like on the Alameda. It's like a normal line, like you can see the tracks and everything. And the new lines have like these glass barriers that only open once the train is there. And I never once the train is stopped. And I never thought like for a second that's what they were for. But it makes so much sense.
I mean, suicide or accident, like things could happen anyway.
Sure, but it was like, what was it like? There was like I read one time. There used to be like somebody that threw themselves on the metro like once every 3 months or more.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
It was crazy. And then it was like, and you sort of knew there's like a code language, like this is super dark, trigger warning for suicide. But you would be in the metro and they were like, there's some problems, like technical complications, and everything just stops for like 20 minutes and everybody just knew, like you were like, oh God, no,
and it's so
not
and
during
it's so
rush
weird.
hour.
Exactly, and people just got like used to happen so frequently. People just got so jaded after a while, but like,
because you're just
again.
like,
I'm gonna be late for work again. It's horrible.
Or sometimes the person even announces there's someone on the line, like I've heard that one. I'm in the metro and I'm like, I hope that means somebody just jumped down there and's fucking around, but I doubt it.
Yeah.
So
not fucking around any longer.
No, and fuck around and find out.
Yeah.
So this is going to be designed by a French public transport company called Sistra, and it's not a private company, which is kind of cool. It's owned by the country of France, which is I think kind of cool. I'd rather it be owned by Chile, but yeah, it's kind of cool. They also designed line 3 and 6, so I like those lines. They're really nice. So I guess line 7 will be super similar to those. There you go.
Cool. Awesome.
I'm excited about new lines, new transportation.
Yeah.
the new lines have really connected Santiago in some really good ways, I think.
Yeah. Even though basically how would you say, the signage in the metro stations is just a fucking disaster. It's like where they point you to, just all over the place. They just send you around in circles. Just
make sure you know which entrance you're going in, because
God,
the thing
yeah. Los Leones?
you can, oh my God, no, if you're going on the red line, enter in where the line looks red. Don't enter it where the line looks
even
blue,
though it's just across the street, doesn't matter. Like,
it doesn't
they're
matter,
gonna
because they
you
had to dig these holes.
Yeah,
they had to dig these holes, and you will literally walk for 30 minutes to reach something you could have just crossed the street.
You're gonna descend into the seventh circle of hell. Like, literally.
I think everybody makes that mistake once and is traumatized, entering the wrong door at Los Leones.
Yeah,
because it literally is like, oh, I'll just cross. I'm just thinking because back in the day when you didn't have that many lines, you could see like, oh, I need to cross the street, I'll just enter the metro here, cross the street, and pop back up on the other side, so I don't have to wait for the traffic. Nope, not with the new lines.
Case. Nope.
Because they had to dig extra tunnels and all those things to connect lines that weren't originally connected. And so anyway, that's a lesson for you guys. That one's free. So
you can thank us later.
Thank us later. So here's another thing. Did you know that we have a time change coming up?
Oh, we do again? No, I actually wasn't aware of that.
Yeah, we do it twice a year, actually.
Hold on. So we're going into winter. So we get an hour extra. That's great.
You've fallen back. Yeah. So for those of you who are listening, a lot of you in Gringolandia, we do not change times the same time that the rest of the world basically changes times, of the US changes times. Yeah, we actually internationally are notorious for being really weird about our time changes. So we fall back on April 2nd. So don't forget to change your clocks or you'll be late to work. There's something like, I read one time that Chile loses like something billions of dollars every time change because Chileans like not setting their clocks or like not showing up to international meetings, or like the Google calendars are like fucked up because we have different time changes in the rest of the world.
That's the thing, because like usually these days, like in modern times, like people just rely on their gadgets, their cell phones to do the time change automatically. And I think now they got the thing working, but like because it did not always used to be like that. We used to, I think we used to change the time at the same time as everybody else.
I remember changing on my phone the time, like even living in Chile.
No, yeah. But what I'm saying is just like before we were actually changing the time together with everybody else. And at some point, Pineda had the idea to just move that for a couple of months or weeks or whatever. And then everything just went haywire. I remember I was working for a company who used to travel a lot for
you remember like not having a time change at all?
No. It was a time change, but the time change occurred at the same time that everybody else did the time change. And then Pineda, I think it was in his first term, he was just like, well, we need to do this time change earlier or later, or I don't know why. And then everything went to shit because like it was not coordinated or synced with everybody else. And I was traveling a lot for work. I was flying to Peru a lot. And like every time I would get like updated, like I had my flight booked and I would get an update from LATAM. It was like, oh, hold on, here are the updated times. Like every single time. So, we have to move this flight. And this took them like years to get used to. It was just a mess.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, I've read articles that were like the worst country in the world for time changes is Chile. Yeah. Because we also, during the Bachelet administration, tried to do away completely with time changes. That lasted a year. And then people were like, yeah, no, let's go back. Like, it's a headache. So this is how it's going. All I'm trying to say, April 2nd, don't forget to fall back. Or if you are somebody who is outside of the country, who needs to be up to date with what's going on in Chile for whatever reason, you work internationally, we are changing times. So be aware of that.
Yeah, it's a thing.
It's a thing. It's a big thing. Also, did you know that Boric's government is setting salary caps and restrictions on hiring relatives, nepotism.
I did know that.
And La Moneda. I know. I know you knew that. I don't know if you read the article, but I know you knew.
Yeah, I did read it.
Well, you know what? I'm going to tell you about it anyway. I'm going to tell our listeners about it, which I love because I hate nepotism. I think it's the worst ever. So according to La Tercera, this measure is mainly aimed at positions, specifically trust positions and people who are doing boletas honorarias. who are like applying for boletas monthly. If you don't know what that is, it's like independent workers who don't have contracts.
Freelancing.
So yeah, basically freelancing kind of situation. If you are going to teach English in this country, you will probably be doing boletas. So in the case of these boletas, they may not exceed 50 or 60%. In the event that they are employees with postgraduate degrees of at least 15 years of experience in public service of the salary of the undersecretary of each ministry. So it cannot exceed 50 or 65% of the salary of the undersecretary, basically, with like certain requirements of your type of degree. So the document, quote, establishes rules of austerity and transparency for hiring the personnel. It is the first step within a more global commitment that we assume to design and implement a remuneration. Am I pronounced that remuneration? Yeah, system within the state administration that allows reducing the current gaps, establishing limits to high rents. So I really like that. I think it's kind of awesome. So while the positions will be restricted from the third and fourth degree of consiguity, including cohabitants. So I'm just meaning like third to second degree of relation. So I guess this is just sort of like preventing people from hiring their cousin, brother, aunt, uncle, and giving them a shitty, pointless job just to make money.
Because this has never happened ever in any previous government in Chile.
Chile, I swear, is like, I mean, I think Latin America in general has a problem with this, but Chile is like, it's insane the amounts of nepotism in this country. Like, not just in the government, like people inherit, like, I mean, it happens in my own family. Like, people hire their brother to work for them and they get hired and they didn't really do anything in university or work hard because they just knew they were going to have a job.
Right. But to be fair, I think Chile is actually doing pretty well if you compare it with the other Latin American countries. I think we're actually the least corrupt of the Latin American countries.
I didn't say least corrupt. I was just saying a lot of nepotism.
Yeah, but I think that kind of encompasses nepotism as well. I'm just going out on a limb here. I have no data to back this up, but
I don't know, because if you like, again, like specifically with, for example, the Constitution was written by Piñera's brother.
Yeah.
I mean, come on.
No.
So
I'm not saying it's not happening here, but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, it's a whole. There's so many things. Like, this person's father was this. They're all related. Or that Piñera's entire government was like 1 degree of separation of a cousin. Like almost everybody. So it's great. Like, I'm not joking. It's a real thing. So I like the fact that this is trying to at least curb. Like, if somebody in your family is working, that there is a cap on what they can do as far as like extra money that they can get, because you can't just be like, oh, well, I'm just going to give my girlfriend or my brother's girlfriend a job and blah, 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 blah,
or a Lambo.
Yeah, because fuck that shit, you know?
Yeah. I mean, on the one hand, I think like salary caps is a good idea, but I mean, it's also an issue. You have to be very careful with this thing, because I mean, there was this one argument I remember that actually, of course, like a right-wing politician made, but it was a good argument, because they said, it's like, look, you gotta make sure that you pay public servants enough so that they are not open to corruption, you know? Which
but that's bullshit, though.
Is it
I mean, okay, here's the thing. Like, that doesn't actually work in practice. Because, so my boyfriend wants to be a judge. He's a lawyer. We have friends who are judges, and they pay judges really well. And they also give judges free housing. And the whole point is like, oh, you have to pay them enough so it won't be corrupt. If you're a corrupt piece of shit, it doesn't matter how much money you make. If you can make more money, you're going to try to make more money, or try to save that money, or try to get that new Lambo that you couldn't buy because it was sold out, or whatever. If you're a corrupt piece of shit, you're a corrupt piece of shit. And it's not like, oh, but we got to pay them more money or they're going to. I think that's a bullshit excuse.
I don't know, man. I think there's a scale. I don't think it's a black and white situation. I think you have like a scale there. The more or the less you earn, the more power you have.
I don't make a shit ton of money, but I still can't be bought. But if you're like, oh, but we'll give you more money just to make sure you can't be bought, I'm like, I'm just not going to fucking do that, because I am not a piece of shit person. Like, I don't know. Like, How about we just
no,
hire people who aren't
dude,
shitty?
no offense, Bethany. What would I buy you for? Like, what sway do you hold, man?
I'm not saying that. I'm just saying, no, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying, like, if you're a shitty person, you're gonna be a shitty person no matter what they pay you. Now, I'm not saying like don't pay people what they deserve. Absolutely pay people what they deserve, because if people do not make enough money to like meet the needs that they have in their lives, then of course there's going to be corruption. That's, the problem with poverty. But saying like, oh, these politicians need to be paid millions and millions and millions and millions and millions of blah blah so that they aren't corrupt. They're already fucking corrupt. We know this. So it's obviously not working. There's got to be another way. How about we just we got to do something else, because that's obviously not working. Like the discrepancy between what politicians make and what even like a good salary in Chile makes in this country is insane.
Yeah.
Politicians make insane salaries here and they're still corrupt. So like,
yay.
Where's your numbers, Lenny?
Win-win.
Give me your numbers.
I ain't got no numbers. Leave me alone. I don't do numbers. You should know me by now.
Okay, so the thing is what the Boric administration is trying to do, and what they say is they're trying to develop trust, because they know that a lot of people do not trust the government because they see all this, like the nepotism and the corruption that has happened, and they want to come out of the gate saying like, we want to try to really demonstrate that we're trying to, I guess, I hate the term drain the swamp because that makes me like a Trump,
yeah.
but like, do something different. And I don't know how you do that. I know that Boric was a huge supporter of cutting his salary in half back when he was a diputado. Like him and Giorgio both were like, take our money. And then all the other people that had been like diputados for years and were super old were like, no, don't take our money. And they were like, we make way too much money. Take our money, put it towards blah, blah. So he's always been like that. Anyway, I digress. Anything else you wanted to say before I move on?
About this particular topic? No, it's fine. That's good. It's all good. I mean, I like the initiative.
I don't think there's anything wrong with it. It's not hurting anybody.
Good thing.
Okay, so the Political Systems Commissions voted that future cabinets should be equally gendered. So on International Women's Day, the Political Systems Commission of the Constitutional Convention approved future presidential cabinets to be equal. That currently falls now to the decision of the head of government. So it said, as we established in Article 1 of our report regarding parity democracy, the parity rule will also apply to cabinets. What?
Parity or parody?
Parity.
Okay, because there's a lot to be said about that. This is a parody.
This is a parody. All of this stuff, we wouldn't really elect a button showing tattoo man as a president. It's just a parody.
It's so symbolic.
Yeah. So basically, the idea is that these cabinets must be made of at least 50% women. It says they must be made of at least 50% women, which I guess would also mean that they must be made of 50% men, right? What that says about non-binary people, I do not know, because that is interesting to me that was not considered at all. It's like, where does that person fall? Anyway, so this
baby steps.
Sure. I mean, yeah, 50% is still better than, most places in the whole world. So
Pareto.
But right. So this is going to be proposed and intended for all commissions and ministers. It is also a change that says that you are not required to be 21 years of old or even a Chilean, but rather just a Chilean citizen to be able to run for ministers of state, which I think is pretty cool.
Yeah.
I think it's really cool as somebody who is not a Chilean and probably will be a citizen one day. I think it's kind of cool that there's the potential there that I could actually get involved directly in politics. I don't know if I want to. I think I'll just sit behind a microphone for a while. I don't think I'm smart enough for that, but it's kind of cool that there's the option of that. So, and of course, first, so there's also going to be at least one minister minister seat belonging to Indigenous people. So reserved for an indigenous representative. But of course, as Marcela Cubillos, member of the UDI party, which is
Unitist Party?
Yeah. He's pointed out that Boric's coalition approves that at least one of the ministers must be representative by indigenous people. And he said, it is striking that if they consider him so relevant and fundamental to the problems that Chile is suffering, perhaps it is not enough to name a representative, but to ask the indigenous people who they want to be named. So I guess it's just like, what are you, I think you're just picking a fight. Like, what are you doing? Like what are you, like, oh, don't do that. Why don't we ask the indigenous people what they want? And it's like, yes, but also that's sort of what they're doing. I think you're just being a dick. Like, the indigenous people want representation and they'll vote for it. That's the whole point. Like,
yeah, I can't really imagine any indigenous person be just like, you know, like being dragged into Congress. Like, they're going to be dragged into Congress. Like, I don't want to be here.
This is not what I wanted. Like, no, they're going to be voted like for any person.
I was just on my porch, minding my own business, drinking a cold one, and then you guys came and dragged me into Congress. This is not cool.
No, it's just UDI having their panties in a wad. It's like, if that's the thing you're criticizing, it obviously means maybe that, I don't know, like, there's maybe not a big problem with this. If you're, yeah, exactly. Like, find some, like, because you can't go 50% women. That's too many boobs or something. I don't know. Like,
it's double as many boobs.
It's double the boobs.
It's way too much.
Way too many labias in there. Okay, so moving on. Now we're going to talk about internet. VTR. Yay. Do you have VTR?
Yeah, I do.
I also have VTR.
Sometimes I gotta say, but most of the times it works. This
for me is super fascinating. Like, I couldn't stop thinking about it today and like trying to talk to people that were around me about it. And they were like, Bethany, I do not care. So VTR, the internet company, is doing a radical change because they're going to freeze prices, as they say, quote, forever. So this consists of what they want to do is simplifying all of their offers and putting an end to differentiated plans and the raising of prices. It is stated that they will offer, quote, the most affordable prices on the market as well. And they have committed to keeping those prices forever. So throughout the statement, VTR explained that Phoenix is the name of the new product with which it hopes to reach new customers with values within the reach of the pockets of more Chileans, which is really good because there's, over 20% of Chileans don't have access even to cell phones. And there are way more parts of Chileans in the region that don't have access to internet. I remember Limache just got internet like last year. Wow. It's crazy. I mean, I'm sure there are parts of Limache, but the place where my boyfriend's family has a house, there was no internet until last year.
That's no way to live.
So how do you live without interwebs?
How do you go on vacation?
How do you watch the memes of the president doing little twirls behind the former president? How do you live? Okay, so we could live without internet, all jokes aside. But anyway, it should be noted that since the pandemic began in 2020, the company was one of the most questioned and criticized in terms of quality of service. Mm-hmm. Yeah, like I think everybody's bitched about VTR. I have, I know you have.
It's a rite of passage.
Yeah, it's like getting baptized. In Chile is you experience an earthquake and you get shit on by a pigeon. Somebody throws a palt at your head and and you bitch about VTR. In fact, the people of VTR admitted that they had received thousands of complaints, and they have had customer leaks. They have had lawsuits led by the National Consumer Service, CERNAC. And they have also had active vandalism within their infrastructure. All of these things happening.
Oh, damn.
Yeah. So VTR is now launching a single fixed internet plan with 500 megabytes of speed, costing less than 10,000 pesos per month. That's about $12-ish, give or take inflation and whatever it is today. So this is without conditions of any kind of readjustment over time, not even for IPC, with which it becomes the most down from the market.
Yeah, which is like, it's a ballsy announcement to make. I mean,
I think it's fascinating.
I think they're going to try to weasel their way out of this at some point, because like over a period of
I
like
don't
10, 20
know.
years. Like this is not sustainable. Like if you don't even adjust it for
You would
IPC.
think that, but imagine if you are the only company that is affordable to, like, let's say, I don't know how many of the percentages of Chileans that don't have internet, but I know it's about 20% that don't have access to cell phones. Imagine if you get 20% more of the market because you're the only people
Yeah, I
that
get.
like you're the only company that can that Chileans can afford.
Yeah, but I get that. But you're talking about sales. I'm talking about profit margin and margins. It's like forever is forever. They have costs associated with this whole thing, right? And if you reach out to a broader market, if you get like, I don't know, 20, 50% more of the market share, you also have more operative costs in the background. Maybe not that are maybe not in step with the rise of profits, but they're still growing. And then you have inflation happening, and things are getting
Right,
more
but
expensive. And it's like, this is not feasible in the long run. I'm just
I mean,
saying.
I think it's going to be a really interesting thing. I don't know how, because I even was like kind of Googling like how long-term fixed contracts like worked as far as companies go. Again, I don't know on the side of like how much more expensive equipment will be in the future, but imagine if, I mean, I know Chileans gonna want the cheapest thing they can get. If they increase a lot, especially with as expensive as everything is getting in Chile, VTR is not shitty right now. I mean, it's not the most reliable, but I
Mm.
wouldn't say it's any less
No, they're
necessarily
okay.
reliable than Movistar,
That's the thing.
honestly.
Everybody's bitching about BTR. They're all equally shitty.
They're all shitty. Like
Come
they're
on.
all equally shitty. And even though they're equally shitty, they're still not as shitty as internet in some places where I come from in Arkansas. Like places where I
Same.
come from in Arkansas, you can't even have internet. Like, so like, yeah, bitch all you want, but
Yeah.
so what I'm saying is like, okay, that makes sense, the cost of equipment. But if we're gonna talk about a huge shift in the country of all those profits going from one country, going from one company or three companies to VTR, they might make more profit in the long term. Also, if they're scared that, because Boric has mentioned this, the nationalization of their own internet services,
Right.
because Boric might be, he has mentioned before that the internet needs to be like a right that Chileans have. So imagine then competing as a huge corporation, charging a lot of money, competing with something for free, or you could have VTR, which is sort of middle ground, right? It's probably going to be better than whatever's free nationally. It's fascinating. I don't know. Like I'm not I'm not an expert on this.
It's
It's
good
just
to have
going through my
choice.
head. Yeah,
It's good to
it's
have a
just
choice.
going through my head.
I'm just wondering how they're going to keep this up over the period of, I don't know, 50 years. At some point, they have to
Hey,
weasel themselves out of that.
I mean, who I don't know the answer. I think it's fascinating, and it's either genius or absolutely fucking stupid. And I can't tell quite yet what it is.
Yeah, story of my
So,
life.
yeah, and so because like the CEO, Vivek Kimka,
Yeah, saw that. He has a.
yeah, he said
Don't know where
that
he's from.
the internet is essential in people's lives, so we understand that we have to adapt. It was time to radically improve the value of proposition and simplify our offerings once and for all. We listened to what people needed and delivered it to them: simplicity and affordability. I don't know, dude. Like, this is going to be an interesting thing. There's something going on here. I don't know what it is. I don't know what's happening. Because again, if they're
But there's
offering really cheap
something.
internet, if they offer really, really cheap internet, it might be that if Boric wants to have his own nationalized internet, it might be cheaper to buy BTR for the government. And then that company will never not make profit. Just saying.
Could be.
I
Let's
don't know
see.
what's happening, but somebody get on our Discord at the $10
Well,
level and tell us.
Stay
Like,
tuned, folks.
I want to
For the
know
development.
everything. Anyway, that's all I got for news today. It was a lot, but super interesting things happened in the past couple of weeks.
I got a last titty bitty, and yes, I know I just said titty, and I'm gonna stand by that.
Titties. You
So
said that because there's more women in Congress now. How dare you?
Yeah, and double as many titties. So the CERNAC, which is the National Consumer Service, they launched a credit card comparison tool, which I thought was interesting.
Oh yeah, I forgot.
This tool allows you to compare like maintenance costs for cash advances, and the cost for buying in installments. And it also lets you see the conditions of your credit card, like commission for international purchases. So I looked it up, I checked it out. Like the interface is a bit clunky, but it works all right. And unfortunately, it has no like snappy URL or like compara crédito, puntos, nothing like that. So just
it's http://://
and
colon
it's,
slash slash
and it's like cernac.cl/ and some string of symbols, whatever.
What
just
was that
Google
thing people used to do? Short link slash
Bitly or what?
No. It was like a thing that people used to put like a long HTML and then they would like put it in a generator and it would make like a short.
Yeah. Like, short. Like, I think Bitly does the same thing. It's like a
it used
URL
to have a funny
shortener.
name though. Yeah, it used to have a funny name like short internet guy or something. It was cute.
Shortener thingy. So basically you just go on Google CERNAC comparador tarjeta de créditos, and then there you find it. So I actually found out that the credit card that I have and use most is actually one of the most expensive one on the market. I was like, okay. So
well, there you go.
Yeah, I gotta reconsider that. But
apparently
at least it doesn't, it doesn't charge me like commission when I buy something abroad, which is good, So, and also it's like what 130 lucas maintenance cost, but years I just pay like 4 or 5 lucas a month, which is I'd rather not pay it, but it's okay. It's not going to break my back, right? So I think it's kind of like an important tool for like let's say for the general financial education for the people here, because it's not a lot of that going on. People just are indebted like crazy. So a bit more information out there.
They're either indebted like crazy or they like don't even have a bank. It's really crazy. There's still so many people in Chile that don't have banks.
Well, they do have a cuenta root. I
mean, every Chilean has a cuenta root. I mean, just like doesn't use it. Like one of my Chilean
something
friends
to be said about like financial education here,
well, and also just like I'm trying to remember. One of my friends was teaching at a school, but like a public school, sort of out in the regions. And they were trying to send emails out to the families, and one of the teacher, or she was, and the teacher's like, you can't do that. They don't have computers and they definitely don't have emails, and they like, because it was like asking for their bank information so that they could like deposit something. I don't know, I don't remember the story, but like they're like, no, nobody has they don't have a bank. They don't use it, or they do, or they just don't use it,
right?
Because again, like if you own a vegetable stand, you're making all of your money in cash, and it's just not worth it for those people to like go to a bank, stand in line, deposit it, and then like where they live in the regions, they're going to go buy their grocery stores from the mini market and use cash anyway, because you can't use credit cards there anyway. So I digress.
I get that. So yeah, I thought that was a little nifty little tool.
I agree. Quite nifty. Okay, so Lenny.
Yes.
We're finally getting to our thing. So tell them we're going to have 2 episodes, right? About the migration crisis.
Yeah.
Tell them
this is becoming a pattern.
Well, this one we're trying to organize into 2 different episodes for like cohesion's sake as well, because this is quite sticky, the subject.
Yeah, and it's a bit complicated at times. So, as you could have, told by the title of the episode, we're talking about the migration crisis up there in the north, which has been an issue for at least the last year, if not longer than that. So we thought let's take a little deep dive into this whole thing, see what's going on, why things are going on, why things are as they are, and give you a little explainer from our absolutely professional point of view. Yeah,
absolutely. Quite educated.
Yep. Let me just
in this very specific thing.
Yeah, let me just give you a little COA here. We're not professionals. We're no lawyers. No. We're just reading the news and trying to form our own pictures and making sense of this whole thing. So
we like news. We like reading. We like talking. News. But besides that, we are not qualified to do anything. We're just friends and you're listening to us. We hope it just feels like we're having a nice little casual conversation over beers
And you're
about
listening
this.
to the Chili Today podcast.
You really do have a nice voice when it comes to...
Thank you.
Yeah. So how is this going to work, Lenny? How are we dividing these episodes?
So yeah, I basically pretty much spent good part of that weekend reading up on this whole thing and structuring this thing. So I was thinking about, let's structure it like this. Part 1, we are gonna talk about
I'm gonna sit here in silence.
You go shut up. So we're gonna talk about
women don't talk on this podcast
because we're modern. We're going to talk about the causes of the crisis in general, and then a little bit more specific about how the whole situation in Venezuela factors in there, and also the COVID pandemic. Going to talk a little bit about the little small border town of Colchane, which has been like the focal point of most of the things that have been going on up there. Mm-hmm. And we're going to give you a little timeline of events starting with around February 2021, because this is kind of like when things are really started to get heated up, and politically things started happening and spinning out of control. This will be part 1, and then in part 2 we're going to try to analyze a little bit more where the problems are, like what could have been done differently, what can still be done differently, where are the problems with the current legislation, etc. So why do we have this problem on our hands, and also kind of take a quick look at what can we do now, like how could this be solved. So
where do we go from here?
Exactly. So look forward to that.
Yeah, I'm excited about talking about it. I think it's important to mention that immigration, racism, all these kind of xenophobic things have been happening before this crisis. This is just like one of sort of those things where it has come to a head based on a lot of different factors that we're going to talk about today.
Yeah, exactly. So let's first start off with the causes of the crisis. Like, as we already said, like Chile has experienced a surge of refugees hailing from other countries of the American continent. And Chile's foreign population has risen by 19.4% in 2 years alone. Just put that in your pipe and smoke it. Like there has been a huge influx of foreigners in the last couple of years. So this particular migration crisis started in 2020 and sort of reached its peak in October 2021, even though the jury's kind of out if that was the worst, like the worst it got or not. So according to the Jesuit, how do you say that? The Jesuit Migrant Service, which is an institution you're going to hear a couple of times about. Yep, that comes up a lot here. According to the Jesuit Migrant Services, in 2010, there were some 305,000 immigrants in Chile, which constituted about one.
This exact same information.
Oh yeah, like I ran across this exact
the same number
3 times. It's just crazy. So they say like in 2010 we had 305,000 immigrants in Chile, which were about 1.8% of the overall population. In 2020, this number has quintupled to 1.5 million, and now it constitutes 7.5% of the overall population. So I didn't find the complete numbers for 2021 yet, because I guess like they still need a complete year in terms of statistics.
So I'm not sure what the Jesuit Service of Migrants is really, because Chile has their own census, and I didn't think it was that high in the Chilean census. Actually, I'm gonna look right now.
No, I think the Jesuit, I haven't really looked into that, but my best guess is that the Jesuit Migrant Service is kind of like just an NGO that it advocates for the rights of immigrants, and I guess they get that information from the National Statistics Institute as everybody else.
Yeah, I mean, like I was just wondering what the actual, because Piñera did the census, right? And I am interested in what those numbers are. So I might find them. I might not. There you go. So anyway, keep going.
Okay, thank you. So let's talk a little bit. Let's see. Oh, so generous. Let's talk about the Venezuelan exodus, so to speak, in particular. So what we call the Venezuelan exodus is now modern history's second largest mass migration event after the Syrian refugee crisis in 2015. Just try to wrap your head around that. Like, this is huge what is happening right now in Venezuela.
Huge.
Huge. So
Mhm.
Venezuelans usually prefer Chile as a destination to escape the precarious situation in their own country because Chile has a relatively stable economic situation and comparatively stable simple immigration process. And there's
Yeah,
also political
especially
stability in Chile,
yes.
in spite
And
of
also,
yeah.
I also wanted to have commented before that the Piñera did create a special path to citizenship for Venezuelans specifically.
Mm-hmm.
That is much easier than a lot of other countries.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that is important, as well as another reason why Chile is a very appealing destination for Venezuelans. And also Venezuelans are highly educated, and so they're looking for jobs, and Chile's got a lot of jobs because of, as you said, the stable economy.
Yep. And actually, latching on to what you just said, like he has more than once openly invited Venezuelan nationals to come to Chile.
Yeah.
Supposedly to mark a counterpoint to Maduro's authoritarian regime. I think that was kind of like his political play there. He just wanted to be like,
Right.
okay, we're a democratic, government and not like this guy.
Right.
So in March 2018, he said, and I quote, "We will continue to receive Venezuelans in Chile because we have a duty of solidarity. And I never forget that when Chile lost its democracy, Venezuela was very generous with Chileans looking for new opportunities." And I think a year later, he was in Cúcuta, which is like a border town in Colombia, which borders to Venezuela. So he actually traveled there. I don't know why, and he had a speech there, and he said also, and I quote again, there's nothing more perverse, more cruel, more inhumane than a regime that denies humanitarian aid to its own people and places the lives of more than 300,000 Venezuelans at risk. That has no forgiveness from God." Mind you, this was before the estallido social, so I think that's important to point out.
Exactly. I was like,
So as you already mentioned before, basically following these assurances, like, Venezuelans come over to Chile. Piñera government created the democratic responsibility visa, which would allow Venezuelans to obtain a temporal residency for the period of a year. However, this came with its own set of problems. And I'm going to touch upon that later in the second part of this whole thing. But it was not as easy to obtain as you would believe it was. So that was one problem there.
surprise, surprise.
Yep. Now, as you already mentioned, like Venezuela, a lot of Venezuelans that came here are highly educated people. Many are accountants, engineers.
Yeah, because
medics.
in Venezuela you can go to university for free. Just saying.
Right.
Their university is still free.
Well, and also you gotta say, like, basically the first to flee a country are the ones that have the most means. So there, so you have a lot of accountants, engineers, medics, lawyers, whatever, but they have to accept low-paying jobs to meet the visa requirements, because as long as their title has not been validated, which is an arduous process here in Chile,
Yes, been
which
through
can
it.
take years, like they cannot apply for a temporary residency. So what they need to do instead is they need to accept a low-paying job to get a visa sujeto contrato while they wait for the validation.
Yes. The thing that people know, like I'm adding on to what you said.
Yeah.
We've talked about this before on the podcast. But if you're just tuning in, like immigrating is fucking hard. It's fucking hard and it's expensive.
Immigrating is denigrating. Boom, I said it.
Damn, son.
Damn.
You got it. Immigrating it shouldn't be, but it's so hard.
Kind of a sad
t-shirt
if it was a t-shirt.
I was like, it should be a t-shirt. No,
like,
wait, that just makes me sad thinking about it. Yeah, might be true, but no, but it's so, here's the thing. Like when you first immigrate here, you have to wait till your visa is approved before, or you have to wait until you're at least in trámite with your visa, which can take anywhere from like 6 months to a year before you can even start working. Before you can even start legally working. So imagine you got to have money for all of that time to legally start working. Here's the thing. You got to have money to support yourself and your family if you're here with your family in order to survive that time period, right? And so then once you have that, you have to wait for, like you said, your degree to get certified. Then once you do get approved, it costs probably $1 million pesos total for you to pay for your visa. That's not considering you having the problems with the way that they rent property here, which is you have to have like a bank account, which you can't get a bank account in Chile until you have your first visa. Like there's so many things. And so one of the things I know that we're going to talk about is people like screaming about illegal immigrants. It is fucking hard to be a legal immigrant. Like, it is fucking hard. Like, give me my papers, bitches. I want them. I'll do everything. Like, I'm legal. I'm like estado regular in the country, but I have been in this state of processing for over 2 years.
You just went out of your way to clear that up, huh? You
Well,
got nothing.
well,
You
hey,
got nothing.
look,
You
here's
got
the
nothing
thing.
to hide. You got nothing to hide, Bethany.
I
huh?
got none to hide. But here's the thing. I have like been like, oh, give me my visa now before on our Instagram page. And somebody's like, you're illegal. And I was like, okay, calm down. No, I'm not.
Yeah.
But the only reason I'm not, well, not the only reason, but one of the reasons I'm not is because I have a previous visa that has allowed me to work. And so the idea is you're just like bleeding over into your next visa.
Yeah.
Right. But imagine if I didn't have my first visa, I would have been over 2 years waiting to be able to legally work in this country. And so then you protest and they're like, oh, look at this illegal bitch over here. She doesn't pay taxes and fuck her. It's like,
I mean,
what?
you can work when you're in tramite. I mean, I've been that man. I'm
But you have to get in tramite first.
Right. I mean, I got lucky insofar that I got here at a point where like the immigration process, and I guess, for Europeans too, that was a lot easier.
Right.
So, I mean, I still had to wait around like a year to get my freaking visa, and still a couple of months to get into tramites. But, I could work then, and I could work in my profession. That was actually the most important thing, because I was able to like start the validation process from home already. And that didn't take that long. Now it's a different story. And now, and I'm going to like, talk about this now, because actually I want to talk about this in the second part. Like a lot of times right now, you cannot even enter the country without a prior permit that you need to request at the Chilean consulate in your own country.
Yeah, this is different.
Shitty. Like I was at least able to come here on a tourist visa, take care of business here, wait it out, live off my savings, and then they were like, okay, on tramite, you're good to go. They can't do this
That's
anymore.
exactly what I did.
And
they
had
here
to leave the country. I didn't have to leave my country. I was cool,
Yeah, like that's the thing, is I had the privilege of coming here being like, I love Chile, finding somebody who would give me a contract, applying, and then, getting in tramite, applying for temporary working visa, all of the things that you did. Now you can't do that. You have to be in your country. Imagine, thank you so much, Pineda, that I can like get this visa, but I have to apply from outside of Chile before I can go and then get accepted, which I hear is not that actual aspect, at least in Venezuela, from what I've heard from my Venezuelan friends, is not that hard. But now it has really, really, really discouraged other people that would have been like you and I, who would have, like, one reason I came to Chile is because it's so super easy to immigrate here.
Mhm.
I watched a documentary the other day about a girl, and she was a gringa in Chile, and she was like, I moved to Chile because it's so easy to immigrate here. I'm like, oh man, the immigrants are dropping like flies.
Bless your heart.
Yeah, I mean, you and I both know, being in the events planning business for bilingual audiences, that the amount of just people coming here to find jobs and working from other countries has just, like, at least from like students, backpackers, things like that, has dropped off a lot. And since this stuff has changed, so
I mean, I think the pandemic and the estallido social also has something to do with
that.
I
meant before that. Like, it was, our audiences were already starting to change, which is fine. Like but it's just like that sort of gringo community changed.
Yeah,
because it was harder for people to come here.
The whole immigration process was actually quite liberalized, but I think they made it harder again when the pandemic started, if I'm not mistaken. Or you think it got harder before that?
It got harder. No, I know that it got harder before that, because Pineda changed a lot of policies that affected me when I was applying for because I had my temporary and I was applying for my definitiva. And when I was applying, I sort of like slid right into like right after where they changed it. So I had to relearn everything. Like, I had thought I knew what I was going to apply for, and then I was like, nope, no new thing. And that was right before the pandemic, because I applied right before the pandemic. And then the pandemic happened and everything just collapsed.
It just went to shit,
And that's pandemic related, not necessarily even just like bureaucracy related.
Right. All right.
But
let me just,
I mean, but everybody who's listening here, you should definitely immigrate here, because it's a really wonderful place to live, I promise.
And become one of our sponsors in the Patreon, because so you can actually talk to us.
Yeah, we can walk you through the immigration process through the Discord, and the information will be there forever. So there you go.
Okay, Bethany is going to walk you through the immigration process. Thank you, Bethany.
I mean, I don't know if to be honest, I'm not a lawyer. I'm not, okay,
Yeah.
up front, not a lawyer.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, exactly. So,
Not that, also warning for people, there are no immigration lawyers in Chile. If somebody says they're an immigration lawyer, they are not.
no,
I'm just letting you know, there is no such thing as an immigration lawyer in Chile. There are people who are lawyers who can help you with immigration.
Right.
But if somebody's out there saying that they are an immigration lawyer in Chile, they are lying, and there's a lot of scammers out there. So just be careful.
Specialty.
There's no such specialty in
Gotcha.
Chile.
Gotcha.
Just FYI, there's a lot of scammers out there.
All right. Okay. Allow me to get a little back on track here. So I was just mentioning that, just like 15 minutes ago, that like a lot of the Venezuelans that came here were like highly specialized professionals. Now, this is changing bit by bit because as the situation is getting more dire in Venezuela, also the poorer people, let's say what's a better way to say it, the economically underprivileged people are also leaving the country now. So this is changing the demographics a little bit in terms of educational background, and also because traveling to Chile by air is difficult for them, more difficult than for a engineer with a well-paying job, even though that was difficult enough with the way that the Bolivar is right now. More and more people actually are choosing to travel to Chile via land. Now I've seen this. Okay, I gotta do a little sideline here. I just saw a few weeks ago this I don't know if you call it a meme. It's more like a fake news picture. People was like, oh yeah, like how are they supposed? You really think they all walked all the way from Venezuela to Chile? Just like do the math. This is like a socialist invasion. I'm just like, buddy, no, they're not walking. Like they're hitchhiking, they're taking buses. Like yes, they're walking, but not only. Like, dude,
yeah, they're walking over the border because that's what you do, because no bus is going through the border, but they're not walking from Venezuela.
But they only walk if they have to. I mean, they hitchhike, they take buses, whatever. It is a thing. But yeah, they're getting to Chile via land. So now,
this is where the clutch. This is where the big point of the crutch.
This is where the crutch is. Yeah,
this is where the clunch is. Apparently, the clutch, the clicker.
Right, and this is why we have so many. This is why we have so many Venezuelans at the border right now, because of the fucked up situation in their own country. More and more people taking the land way to Chile. Piñera being like, "Come over here," and then be like, "Who are you guys? We never invited you in the first place." Now, while in 2021 there were like 8,000 Venezuelan nationals living in Chile. In 20, I think I wrote this down. No, I think I wrote this down incorrectly.
2020.
I think in 2010, like there were only 8,000 Venezuelan nationals living in Chile. This number has grown more than, down for that, has grown more than 60-fold to 500,000 people in 2020. Let me repeat this again. From 8,000 to 5,000 in, I think, 10 years. 500,000, right?
We have the same
less years. It's just crazy,
We read the same articles.
Right. Yeah, no, but this is like an information that has been repeated throughout various articles. So this is making basically Venezuelans the largest migrant group in the country. So this is why we have so many Venezuelans in Chile right now, and knocking at the door at the border. Now, another thing is, it's not only Venezuelans, of course, because there has also been a lot of economic hardship due to the pandemic,
in lots of countries.
And other major immigrant groups include Peruvians, Ecuadorians, Colombians, Haitians, and Dominicans. So now,
and Bolivians.
And Bolivians too, right? And while some of them, not all of them, are living in otherwise politically relatively stable countries, not Haitians, definitely not, but some of them, the pandemic has really wreaked havoc on the home country's economy, and many have lost their jobs. So again, Chile's economic and political stability makes it an attractive destination for refugees looking to start over.
I think something interesting to point out is like this is sort of the same kind of idea that happens with like with the US, right? Like people see the success of the US, whether it's on television or whatever. Like some people living in the US is like, why would you come here? And it's like, people look at Chile and like see all of the good parts of Chile because we have been so successful with our vaccines. We do have a lot of, we do have the largest, Yeah, the giant phallus in the sky. That's the largest building in South America. We do have a lot of big giant things. We had a billionaire president. We have, these projections of how much money the country's going to make, right? You see the shiny things and you think that, the grass is greener on the other side, which of course, if your family's starving, it is going to be greener.
Yeah. If
but,
you don't even mind if it's yellow, at least there's grass,
Yeah, at least there is grass, right? So I think that's something to consider, that people may also be like coming here with expectations of getting jobs that might not necessarily be there, because Chile still, although we still have a large poverty rate in our own right.
Yeah.
So
I think I don't know, man. I think they know that. Like I can't be sure. I think people have more or less realistic expectations, but as you said, like the situations in a lot of
people
their
see
home countries are
Santiago.
just so fucked. They go like, might as well.
Sure. No. I know that, especially in the case, I 100%, like, if you just like, I need a change, absolutely. But I guess it's also the thing where like gringos come to Chile and they only stay in Santiago and they're like, oh man, Santiago's like, Chile is so advanced. There's blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, yes, but no. I mean, again, have you been to the regions?
Right.
They don't have internet and they don't have,
Hashtag Santiago knows Chile.
Yeah, exactly. So, I don't know. It's this weird like dichotomy of like
that was actually
idealism.
Nice. That was a nice segue. Let me talk.
I did it on purpose, not.
Let me talk a little bit about the colchane. I always want to say cold chain because it sounds so much cooler, but it's colchane.
Oh, cold chain. Oh, it's gonna be cold chain now.
Yeah, cold chain. I mean, it would be surprising,
Colchane.
but that sounds like an English last name or something, like Lord
Lord
Edwin
Colchane.
I don't know, Lord Edwin Colchane.
Colchane the fourth.
Yeah, who founded that city? I wouldn't be surprised. Actually, I gotta.
Colchanedenberg.
Yeah, no, I gotta Google that. So the small city of Colchane has been fine. Colchane has been the focal point for most of the events related to this migration crisis. Now, Colchane is a small town with no sewers, no pharmacies, no supermarkets. They don't even have round-the-clock electricities, and it's actually one of Chile's poorest communities. Now, giving you some stats because I know that you love it when I give you stats. So that was
numbers just turn me on.
Yeah, I know. There was a 2017 poll by Casen in Odepa, which says that 16.9% of the population doesn't have access to running water. And we're talking about Colchane right now. 21.7% have no access to electricity. And as I said before, like even those with access to electricity don't even have 24-hour, 24/7 electricity. 99.9% do not have a home internet connection, talking about what we just talked before.
Right.
21.7%, curiously the same percentage as the people that don't have access to electricity. 21.7% are illiterate. The average school attendance is 8.5 years, and which I've seen worse, to be honest, but yeah, it's not great.
Sure.
And 63.5% live in conditions of multidimensional poverty. So life's not great there. And there are currently an estimated total of 3,000 migrants stranded in Colchane, which in and of itself only has around 300 inhabitants. So they have like 10 times as many immigrants stranded in the town than it has inhabitants itself, And added to that, according to the mayor's office of Colchane, there are about 300 to 400 people on average that arrive in town after having crossed the border. And these people are absolutely in a bad way. Like they get there dehydrated or with severe health issues due to the long journey.
And they die.
Yeah. And it's just a whole shitload of problems for this small little town. Now, why this small town? Because this particular border crossing point, which is right where Colchane is, it sees a lot of heavier traffic because it's less guarded than the less hard to travel and the more direct entry points along the Chilean and Peruvian border,
Right.
Now, in all of 2020, there were about like 13,000 registered cases of illegal border crossing near Colchane by Venezuelan nationals, if I understood that right. And only in this first 7 months of 2021, this number was already around 18,000. So basically 68% more than all of 2020. We're only talking about the first 7 months of 2021. So this town had to put up with a lot of stuff very quickly. So just for contrast, I just said that we're talking about 18,000 Venezuelan. The second largest group that accounted for illegal entry at the border crossing were Bolivians, with about 3,000 people, which is nothing, if you compare to the Venezuelan
comparatively, right?
Comparatively, right. So this whole overpopulation that Colchane is facing right now, it brings its own set of problems. Now, the Colchane's mayor's
and there's very
office,
little support, very little. Yeah. I would like to mention very little support from the capital, and Absolutely. The needs that Colchane needs. Coltrane. This sounds like a rapper.
The Coltrane.
Coltrane. Yeah. The Coltrane. Oh, isn't that like what is it? I'm thinking.
John Coltrane.
No, Coltrane.
John Coltrane, the saxophone player.
John Coltrane. Yeah. So Coltrane hasn't had any support from the capital. We haven't seen him perform at all. No, but I mean, like this is a thing also that Boris talked about a lot in his campaign. Like the capital really likes to ignore the regions because honestly, like all of the people, the government officials, like, I mean, we have the vast majority of the population in the capital, so the regions just sort of get ignored. But there is a legitimate crisis going on in the regions with this immigration. Now, I want to say right here and right now that I am a supporter of immigration. I am supporting these people. They are coming and they are trying to get they're trying to survive. I'm an immigrant. They're trying, they are, I am an immigrant and I have so many privileges. I cannot imagine having to not even like saying walking, like hitchhiking with your kid, getting on a bus, asking strangers for help, going to a place.
Hitchhiking with your kids when you are a woman traveling alone, that level of danger.
I can't even imagine having a kid. I can't even imagine being a woman alone traveling. Like I can't, what these people go through. And, we're going to talk more about like once they get here, the difficulties that they still experience once they get here, like the horrible things that happen to them, and they still do it. These people, like, I can't even fathom. So like these people are fucking heroes to me, doing what they need to do to survive. And I don't know, it's heartbreaking. Yeah. And then the people of Colchane, just existing in Chile, like we're sitting here in Santiago, being able to see the tallest building in South America from our windows, nice going to our, and just like enjoying our lives while like people in Colchane don't have internet podcasts. And people in Colchane, like in the country that we live in, it's Chilean citizens, like not having running water. Like this is, it's crazy. Like that's it's like two different crises happening at the same time. Yeah. It's not exacerbating only each other.
Right. And like this whole thing, like all the problems that Colchane had, for fuck's sake, Colchane had from the get-go, like, with the electricity and running water and illiteracy and whatever. Now, compounded to that, this whole overpopulation basically triggered a huge surge in crime. So according to the prosecutor's office report, the homicides in the region, not only Colchane, but in the Tarapacá region, grew by 183% the last year, to the point of registering one every 48 hours. Drug trafficking increased by 42%. Migrant trafficking increased by 501%. The possession of sharp weapons also increased by 124%. Now, so I've read at some point somebody saying that the region is currently going through a triple crisis: COVID-19 for one, surge in crime rates and the migration crisis. This is the third one, right?
Now, and let's do fourth, poverty.
Yes. Yeah, that's true. But let's actually, I'd be amiss not to point out something a little bit, because you got to say that the migration is not necessarily the main cause for the surge in crime rates. Like, because,
no, of course.
I think the COVID-19 pandemic is a likely driver for that. Like, don't confuse causation with correlation here, And if there's a causal relationship, the immigrants are not necessarily the perpetrators here, Like, one could say that human trafficking is a driver for crime, but not necessarily perpetrated by the victims of human suffering, but other elements that see the opportunity to frame them for it. Do you know what I mean? You follow me? You feel me?
No, I know what you're saying. And I mean, it is proven that people who are desperate to get across the borders, especially, as you said, women, or maybe women with small children, become victims of sex trafficking a lot, because somebody will come, maybe, some people will say, like, I can give you a ride across the border, and then they take their passports, and suddenly, like, they are now being sex trafficked, and this happens all the time. Or you're a woman who shows up across the border alone, and you get easily sex trafficked. I mean, this happens all the time in really metropolitan cities. Just imagine if you don't have any resources or any money or anything. Like, and that's not, the immigrants aren't the ones doing that, right? This is people taking, like, this is people being shitty.
And,
again, shitty people gonna shit.
Yeah, and okay, wait, let's be real. I mean, of course, there are going to be refugees that commit crimes, but out of necessity.
Right, of
you know, what do you
course.
want to do? You know,
Poverty
And-
instigates desperation, which instigates the push towards crime. I mean, we know this.
You know, and sure, there's the occasional bad apple. Like, I don't want to. That's also a thing, you know. Like, of course, but
all apples are bad, don't you know?
Yeah, of course. You know,
it's not my favorite fruit.
Well, apples. I like apples if it's juicy. So it's a thing, but it's not.
What other juicy fruits do you like?
Bananas.
Sorry.
It's not really juicy, is it? Peaches.
Bananas. Not juicy.
Nectarines. I love nectarines, man.
Honeydew. Peaches.
Food. Anyway.
Eggplant. What? Keep going.
All right. So we established
a little bit of levity.
So now we got a whole bunch. We got like thousands and thousands of poor immigrants stranded in Colchane. People be like, "What the fuck just happened?" Like, they just didn't know what.
Yeah, like overnight they went from this like people who were just trying to survive to like people now like, because obviously this happened, like people fighting for the meager scraps that they had.
Absolutely.
Right.
And of course, these people don't want to stay in Colchane because it's not the destination of the dream. So what are they doing now? They continue the trek from Colchane to the coastal town of Iquique, which is like 235 kilometers or 146
as one person
miles.
Asked me when they As one person asked me, one gringo asked me, Canadians actually, when they came here, asking if I would tell them a little bit about Iquique. And I didn't know what they were talking about.
I'm gonna start calling that from now on. This is the cutest thing ever.
Colchane and Iquique.
Yeah.
I was like, they were like, "Oh, do you like Iquique?" And I was like, "Excuse me, Iquique."
No, you said, "Excuse me."
Excuse me. And then they were like, Iquique, you know, in the north. And I was like, I have no idea what you're talking about. And eventually I figured out that they were talking about Iquique, and I was like, oh. And then I laughed at them right in their face because it was a cute thing. It was cute.
And then they started crying and they turned around and went away. Good job, Bethany. So they are.
I'm very welcoming.
So basically, the immigrants, what they're doing from Colchane to Iquique, they make the way there. Walk, hitchhike, bus, whatever. And then the idea for them is, of course, continue the journey down south to Santiago, which is the main destination for, I don't want to say all immigrants, but most immigrants. Now Santiago
there's shops here.
Yeah, because and shops or jobs?
Jobs,
right? I mean both. Yeah, but yeah.
I mean, yeah, there's both of these things.
Yeah. So now Santiago is about 1,800 kilometers, which is 1,120 miles. Down south, so they can't just walk there. Okay.
No.
Now
we are in long country.
Like, once they get to Iquique, there's another pileup happening because, in part, many migrants, they don't have either the means to pay for a bus ticket down there, or they do not have the COVID-19 vaccine requirements to continue the travel by bus. Because remember, if you want to get into a long distance bus, you got to show them proof of vaccinations. Now, these people don't have that either because they are not vaccinated in the first place, or they have like a, I don't know, Bolivian, Venezuelan, Ecuadorian, Venezuelan thing that has not been, how do you say? No.
Well, here's the thing: is you have to get your vaccinations
by the government.
Accepted by the government, and it can take weeks to do that. And again, you got to have internet to do that.
Right.
Like you got to submit
and you
that shit through there. And you got to be legal here. You know, you got to be legal here in the first place. Well, I mean, you don't have to be legal here to get your vaccines approved, because if you're visiting Chile on a tourist visa, you still have to get them approved. You have to submit them.
And you're legal because you're on a tourist visa. But
oh yeah. Yeah.
These guys are not legal.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the thing.
Exactly.
Like they have no recourse. That's the thing.
Right.
So this is the situation.
Well, I guess then the excuse from the right would be like, well, they shouldn't be here anyways. So they shouldn't be able to take our buses.
Yeah, exactly. So that's the thing.
You don't get to take a bus. You got to walk. You got to earn that.
Now, so this is
earn it.
So this is what's going on in Colchane and in Iquique right now.
In Iquique.
Now, let me give you a little timeline of events there, because starting early 2021 and especially later 2021, shit really started hitting the fan. So on February 9th, 2021, the Ministry of the Interior announced the Plan Colchane, the cold chain plan, which among other things aimed to improve the infrastructure of the locality,
teaching people how to play saxophone.
That'd be so great. I'd be there. We should send Diego there, man. Diego Blanco.
Oh yeah, inside joke.
Inside joke.
The listeners love that.
Yeah, like jokes. We never crack inside jokes at all.
No. Though we do have people who listen that know who we're talking about.
Hi, Mary.
Still. Hi, Mary.
So the part of the Plan Colchane was to improve the infrastructure of the locality, basically give them continuous electricity supply, sanitary residencies for immigrants. That was also an idea, but they also included deployment of the armed forces and unmanned drones for border control purposes and deportation flights. So this is when this whole thing started, which, mind you,
this is where we're ramping up. We're ramping up. Yeah, we're escalating right now.
Right, which was about like a year after this whole thing had already happened. I mean, like the government has been a little late there,
Yeah, we're creating high tensions at this point.
Exactly. Let's jump 7 months into the future, September 25th, 2021. Now, this situation then came to a head in Iquique, when there was a massive protest which actually started to principally, we talked about this before, right? Like it was principally to criticize the government's handling of the migration crisis, or rather lack thereof. And they were asking for the resignation of the regional president delegate Miguel Angel Quesada and asking for the closing of the border. But this thing eventually turned violent, and it was a group of protesters burning tents and belongings
anti-immigrant protesters
of the migrants that have settled in some of the public spaces around town. Right now,
let's not gloss over this. I want to.
No, I don't want to gloss over that actually. So, okay, you say a part first, because
Well, I just want to say, like, okay, so we have like extremist anti-immigrants that were protesting. It got violent, and instead of it being what it was initially supposed to be about, which was a protest against the government's handling of it, it became fuck all immigrants. They then took immigrants who have nothing, right? We've just talked about how they absolutely had nothing, took their tents, took baby blankets, took like strollers, took clothes and burned them, waving Chilean flags. It was took their masks, like it was absolutely like disgusting, these people doing this. And they were like waving Chilean flags and being like Viva Chile. And it was like, for me, like I was so fucking embarrassed and angry, and like, how do you take a baby stroller from someone who has nothing, really? A mattress from someone who has a tent, and burn it?
And I mean, it really shows you how I don't know if that's the right term, but like how mass hysteria can really devolve into something really ugly. Because, and I
hope they're fucking ashamed of themselves. Because they're probably not.
I think I would say most of them are, because like I think it's easy to get caught up in these things in a way. There was this guy, Jose Tomas Vicuña, who was the ex-director of the Jesuit Migrant Service, and he said, and I think he's right about that, he said like the cause of the strike, the main cause, was the inaction of the government and not the migration per se. Like the whole thing didn't start out as a strike against migration. They were just like, hey guys, we got a problem on our hands. Like, you, the government, need to fix this. Help us, please. Like,
even if that's true, there is obviously an underlying xenophobic, racist hate that exists there. I mean, because it's like, oh, this was all really supposed to be about the government, of course, because you're not going to get approval to have an anti-immigrant rally, right? From the government. So because this could be both of these things at the same time, because how does it escalate to burning of immigrants' things if it was no, we don't care about the immigrants, fine, welcome, open arms.
Like,
because
okay,
why didn't they burn government buildings? Why was the immigrants like useless? And like,
because they're the easier targets, and I don't want to digress too much. I'm absolutely armchair psychologizing here, but like I think it's just like easy if you're in a situation like that where you just feel completely overwhelmed. You're just looking for the most vulnerable target, the scapegoat, and that.
But well, fuck you anyway. Like, but it's no excuse, and fuck that person.
No, it's not an excuse. It's not an excuse, but I think it's an explanation, because I mean that's a typical psychological event that
But
happens
that
there.
doesn't mean it's forgivable, and it doesn't mean that person
Oh, I'm
again
not
is not a
saying
shitty
that.
person.
No, I'm not saying that.
No. I know you're not saying that. I'm just making my own
soapbox.
statement about it. Yeah, just like I I can't I don't care. I got my own belief systems. I got my own stuff. I just can't imagine taking something from a kid and burning it, no matter what I'm hyped up about,
Right.
even the things I hate the most in the world.
Yeah.
I can't see me taking the kid is innocent. If there were a bunch of Nazis in the street, right? I fucking hate those guys. Let's punch them. But if the little kid was being dragged along who doesn't know what the fuck's happening and was a little kid, I'd be like, you're a Nazi kid though. Let me take your little doll and burn it. What? Maybe I'm being naive with what I'm saying, but I really don't think I would do that.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's just you never know until you're in this situation.
Right?
I would also believe that I wouldn't be like that, but I don't know. That's it's a tough thing. It's a tough call.
Either way, it was an embarrassing, horrible, absolutely heartbreaking thing to see happening in the north of Chile.
So just a couple of days after this incident, what happened was that the Venezuelan ambassador offered his countrymen and women that were stranded here in Chile free flight tickets back to Venezuela, but most were just nah, we're good. That kind of shows the severity of the situation over there. They were like, no, fuck it. We'd rather be stranded here than be back in Venezuela. That's kind of tells you a thing or two about what's going on. 5 days after this whole thing happened in Iquique, the Ministry of the Interior decides to double down and announces new measures to deal with the migration crisis, which I think is still likely to be part of this Plan Colchane. And these measures included the installation of 6 control and observation points along the border, mobile police encampment for up to 50 additional carabineros, additional technical support with 3 trucks equipped with satellite dishes and monitoring equipment. So at this point, as you pointed out already, the government has already been harshly criticized from several sides for its inaction and reactive approach to the crisis, instead of having taken a more proactive approach, because the warning signs have been there all along, And the mayor of Colchane absolutely bashed the government for not having a plan. He basically said, the government is not having a plan. They're mostly applying patchwork solutions as they go, while at the same time, they're absolutely not coordinating the measures, neither with the mayor's office, nor the indigenous communities, nor with neighborhood committees. He's just they're just doing whatever the fuck they want.
Was this the point in which Piñera was or the Piñera administration was like, well, Boric, what are you going to do? And Boric was like, I can't fucking do anything. I'm not the president yet, bitch. Was that when that happened?
No, because
not in those words. I'm paraphrasing.
No, because that was in September last year, because Boric wasn't even in the picture.
Right. Okay. So this was late. This was one of that was during the trucker strike. Yeah. We're getting there, guys.
Actually, we're
trucking along.
Nice. I'm going there right now. I'm gonna jump 4 months? Yeah, September, October, November, December, January. Yeah, I'm gonna jump 4 months ahead to January 30th, 2022. By that time, the elections were already done, right? Yeah, of course. When was the elections? November.
Right? No? November.
Yeah, November. Right. So on January 30, 2022, there was an attack of a police patrol by 4 Venezuelan nationals that triggered a 4,000 people strong protest in Iquique, and they were protesting initially a surge in crime rates and the demanding closing the border again, which then again later devolved into violence against immigrants. I can see a pattern here. The thing is that in this protest, there were also foreign residents of the town that participated in that march. It's like Cubans in Florida, if you will,
Yeah,
people that have been living there for a while. The following day,
no, it's like my family in Chile. They're all Bolivian immigrants from Bolivia, and they hate immigrants. Not my boyfriend, not me, obviously, but it's they're like, oh, the immigrants are bringing drugs and blah blah blah, and I'm like, girl, you immigrant,
because
your daughter-in-law's an immigrant. Right, you need to calm down.
They see in danger their own little cushy life that they've established to themselves.
Right, because it's okay, obviously the Bolivians are good immigrants for them because they're from Bolivia, but no, the Colombians are bad ones. It's the Venezuelans and it's
right. So right now we're at the end of January, and this is really when things are heating up here, because a day later, the Trucker Association, as well as taxi drivers, dock workers, and local shop owners in Iquique, they absolutely, not only Iquique, all around the region, they absolutely Iquiqui, they absolutely paralyzed this whole area with a massive strike. They're blocking main access roads, they're shutting down the airport as well as the seaport. 10 days later, truckers again blocked important access roads in several northern communities following the death of a truck driver.
No more trucks.
No more trucks.
Banning trucks. No.
We need railroads. But
I mean, Boris wants
this.
to make a train. We talked about it before because
we talked about it before.
The truckers get a stronghold on the entire country. We're shaped like a giant penis, and if you cut off the urethra, nothing gets through.
Jesus, no. Ouch. Yeah, I don't even want to imagine this.
No, but seriously, like because of the way we're shaped, like a trucker can, and we have one road that goes basically north to south. Right. You cut off the road, nothing gets to anyone. Drug, like pharmaceuticals, food, water, whatever you need. Drugs, and in some cases electricity, like you can block electric lines
all
too.
These,
so it's
all these truckloads of electricity not getting where they need to get.
All the Pikachus that
all the pallets of electricity that they're shipping.
They ship Pikachus from the north where they grow them to the capital city.
Next to the palta plantations, you know.
Yeah.
Pikachu palta. So anyway, so basically the second blockage by the truckers was following the death of a truck driver as a result of an altercation with 3 subjects, 2 of them presumably being Venezuelan nationals. Again, same thing as just a month before. The very same day, the government carried out a collective expulsion of migrants, whereby 138 people were deported in a single day, 86 in a Chilean Air Force plane to Colombia and Venezuela, and 52 to buses to Peru and Bolivia. Mind you, that was not the first time they did one of these massive things.
No, they've been doing massive expulsions all year, all last year. Like they would like have pictures like 75 Venezuelans got sent home. This and mostly Venezuelans.
Yeah, this has been going on for a while, but I think like this one has yet the biggest been to date. Now, 2 days later, just 2 days later, on February 12th, the new migration law came into effect, which has been languishing in Congress since April 2021. Now, this law replaces a dictatorship-era piece of legislature, and it does decriminalize illegal entry into national territory, which is supposed to be a good thing. I'm going to talk about this a little bit more in part 2, but it also gives legal status to only those migrants who have entered the country on a permit granted by a Chilean consulate of their country of origin before March 18, 2020. Now imagine what happens with these people that are already on their way.
Right, you know? Or already here.
Yeah, already here, like knocking at the border. But imagine like that, they just, get to the borders.
Like, well, do I turn around? Like, what do I do? Also, I don't have internet. I didn't know anything changed. Exactly. Like, wait, what?
Yep, exactly.
You're on your 4th dose.
4 days later, 4 days after this, on February 16, 2022, the government eventually decreed a state of emergency in 4 of Chile's northern border regions as a part of a deal. It was actually part of a deal with the Truck Drivers Association, so they would eventually end the blockage of the roadways. What the state of emergency does, in case you don't know, it just gives the armed forces the necessary authority to better control the inflow of immigrants in the region, or at least that's the idea. Now, as I was just commenting to you off air, on March 13th, which was yesterday from that day of recording, the government spokesperson Camila Vallejos announced that the state of emergency will not be extended and end on March 26th. As of today, March 14th, again, some 50 people have set up barricades on the road connecting Alto Hospicio and Iquique to protest immigration. Now, the new Minister of the Interior, Isquia Siches, will visit the Tarapacá region on March 20 to begin a new round of talks, although locals are actually urging her to move the visit up her agenda because they were just like, we need a solution now,
Yeah, she's supposed to go like nowish. That's what I just read.
I think they wanted her to come on the 17th or something. So this is kind of like the timeline, what has happened. As you can see, from basically end of January 2022 till now, it's just been thing after thing after thing after thing, non-stop breather. Like it's
and literally
crazy.
We're recording part 2 probably later this week. By the time we record part 2, I bet more shit will come out.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So yeah,
that's the thing. Like so I know that Boric has been very much criticizing in his administration the use of force, right? They're always from the Carabineros against everybody basically. Like Carabineros just kicking and hitting people and criticizing, they're criticizing that. But so yeah, that's the basic timeline, right?
Right,
Lenny?
that's the basic timeline. And yeah, that would be it for part 1, actually. We're gonna talk a little bit more in part 2 about the why and
more details about why
is this a problem, how did this happen, etc., etc.
Potential
in our semi-professional way.
Potential ways in which the new administration is going to deal with it, how the old administration was dealing with a little bit more detail, and probably, like I said, we'll have updates for you next if we're if we record in a couple of days.
This whole thing.
No, we'll just say, oh fuck. I knocked my mic over. We'll just say, oh fuck.
So excited.
And then throw things. No, we'll just update you guys. But it's super sad, but it's super important to know, especially as we're English speaking listeners. I mean, a lot of us are immigrants or people who might come study here or whatever. We might not be the people standing at the border, but that's only because of the circumstances of our birth, right? So, I stand in solidarity with those immigrants and what they're going through. And I don't believe in good immigrants and bad immigrants. That's stupid. I just had the privilege of having enough money.
There are good immigrants and bad immigrants.
And I'm a bad one.
Kidding.
I'm a bad girl. So, hey, if you guys have any comments, we love to hear from you. I would love to get an email from you. I would love to see some discussions in the discourse if you guys are interested in doing that. If not, you can always send us an email or an Instagram at Chile Today Podcast, chiletodaypodcast@gmail.com. And if you're interested in the Patreon at whatever level, patreon.com/the Chile Today Podcast.
And if you want to call us pinko commies, just go ahead. We feed off your hate. We feed off your hate.
You pinko, iquiqui, they're both kind of cute words. So there you go.
Cold chain.
Cold chain.
Lord Edwin Coltrane.
Lord Edwin Coltrane of Breckenshire. The third. Sorry.
The third.
Anyway, so we're gonna leave you. We're a little slap happy. We've been talking for a long time, but we love you guys. Thank you so much for tuning in, and we'll see you next time. So when in doubt,
Gringo out.
Bye. The Chile Today podcast is produced and edited by Podcast Pinguino Diego Rivera, and it is starring Leonard Kluge and Bethany Francis.
Oh, but one of these days I just want you to not butcher my name. Leonard Kluge, you mean?
Leonard Kluge. Bye!